welcome back to Craft Table Therapy with me, Emily, from Bella Marie Creations and Boutique. I'm bringing you an amazing interview with Shelly Daood from Bound to Be Creative. We talk about everything from her new shoptique to her advice on managing a handcraft business while also being a mom to 5 children. Grab a notepad, you will want to take note of all her great advice. I don't know. I feel like I've known you forever now. I feel like I've been following you. So I met you at the crafts, I think it was called, at the Minnesota State Fairgrounds.
Yes.
And that was when my first daughter was born. And so that was 2014.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Then I have been following you. I purchased on Etsy a few of your mini hip bags.
The minis.
Yeah. Show us some of your minis. Yes. Those are amazing.
The hip minis. I gotta make some more of those. Yeah.
Yes. And,
well, thank you for all your purchases. I mean, goodness, thank you. Yeah. Awesome.
So, and then I've been following you on Instagram and then I just I don't know, I feel like you're like this big deal to me, even though you like this is like an honor to be interviewing you, even though you probably have no idea.
Honey, yeah, fake it till you make it, right? No, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah. Your name has popped up so many times, and to even like your Bella that you've been doing, I'm like, I want to call you Bella, and I'm like,
yeah, I know. And
her name is Emily, so yeah.
People have been asking me, is one of your daughters named Bella? And I was like, no, it's actually my dog.
Oh, I love it though. Oh, so sweet pause.
And my great-grandma, my grandma, their great-grandma, she just called her Bella Maria for some reason. And when I didn't have kids, I started this business in 2011, and that's just what I called it.
Oh, I love it.
I don't know.
I love names with a story. Honest to God.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I had a meaning to it, so why not? So I've been following you, and I just thought you were such an inspiration because what do you have, 5 kids?
I do.
5 kids?
Do. 5. Yes.
And
the ages are from 12 to up to 21. So we had 1, 2, 3 when we lived in our other house, and then a 4-year gap, and then we had 2 more, and we joked about having 2 more, and God blessed us with 2 more. So it's a happy house. I mean, with the pandemic, everybody was home and all of that, but yeah. And that's why this space is so precious to me. Can't hear hardly anything. I don't know if my father's soundproofed it or what, but yes, 5 kids. So
sure.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm going to start with you kind of telling us a little bit about yourself and how you kind of started. Have you been sewing for your whole life, or how did you teach yourself, or where did you learn how to sew?
My great question. Sometimes I have to re-ask myself, okay, when did I start? Was this 10 years ago? No, I've always watched my mother sew from the time I was little. In fact, when I was literally in her womb, every time she ran the sewing machine, I would kick.
Yeah.
So I'm
oh my gosh.
So I think I was born to sew. As growing up, I was probably more of a tomboy. So I would much prefer being outside, riding the 4-wheeler, doing that. And my mom taught me the basics, but my mom was oh my gosh, she was a seamstress, and she'd put these patterns together and tailor our clothes. And I was in awe. And there was something about it that brings me back to when I was a kid. And I'd go to the fabric store with her, and I would hear them cutting the fabric across the table. There was just something about it. But, I really didn't actually start sewing until probably when I was lived in a house or an apartment, and I would sew curtains and straight lines and all of that. But it got a new sewing machine probably 15 years ago. My husband had got me a new one, and that's why I was oh my gosh, there's really good sewing machines out there. So, but so I can't say that I did a lot of sewing even in high school or before that. It was in my married life. Let's just say that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that is
Yeah.
very interesting because I would have thought you, sewed your whole life. You are very, very talented. I always
Thank you.
speak
Yep.
to whenever I advertise your stuff. I'm like, this lady is just super talented.
Well, thank you.
So that brings me to like, how many patterns have you made yourself or created yourself?
I have many patterns. I probably have more patterns that didn't work out than I do of like the 10 super solid ones, because that's when you have a handmade business and you love to create, it's all about trial and error. So I have probably 2 boxes of like the misfit hats or the misfit product, or some things that just didn't fly. But I would say right now, I probably have a good solid 10 to 15 patterns that I just kind of, and not all of these products are like online and things that I sell regularly, but I would say a good 10 patterns. So
yeah. So when did you start Bound to be Creative? When was that kind of brought together and thought of as a business? And
I actually, maybe this is somewhere on my website, I think it is, but I'm actually, Bound to be Creative started probably 20 years ago when I taught myself how to bind books. And I've a couple things I've always loved since growing up, journaling and hats. And when I was a stay-at-home mom, I was like, I gotta do something with my hands. You know, I'm a graphic designer by trade, but Bound to be Creative was actually born out of my hand-bound books. I would make journals, I would customize them, I can't even remember all the terms now, but I would make, wedding books and that kind of thing. So Bound to be Creative started in actually the basement of our home, probably almost 20 years ago. And so we moved, and I was like, it was all the glues and the cutting of the cardboard, binding the books that I couldn't stand anymore. My hands were just like, I still wanted something tangible. So I was like, I still wanted to do my handmade business. And I said to my husband, I said, well, I need to come up with a new name. Bound to be Creative. I made this hip midi pattern and this hat pattern. It's like, why do you have to change the name? He's like, you're just binding in a different way. I was like, yay! So that's how Bound to be Creative was actually born. Was bounding was from the handmade books, and now I bind with my sewing machine now. So I kept Bound to be Creative. So
you have all these patterns that you've created. What is your favorite pattern to make, or your favorite item to make?
Yep. Great question. I did have to think about this, but I didn't have to think about it long. It's got to be my hats. There's something about the hats, and I still get that super excited feeling every time I make a hat and I put it on, one of my models and be like, and adjust it. And, even when I say to myself, I can't wait to make myself another hat in this color or whatever, but I would say the hats, not just for me, but being to so many shows over the last 10 years, it's the look on women's faces when they put the hat on and they didn't think that they were a hat person, just their eyes light up. And you do get that occasional one saying, no, I'm still not a hat person. But that's what drives me to create and just love making the hats more and more, because there's so many options. And the fact that they're reversible, not the fleece ones, but they get 2 hats in one. I would definitely say the hats.
Have you always been a hat wearer?
Yes.
Yes. When you were little and growing up?
When I first remember being like an avid hat wearer, was when I was around 13, that teenage years. I didn't have like super curly hair then and stuff, but I would go to the Shopko, the stores, Target, if Target was even around, and I would buy these hats. And I always thought I had like this giant head, but I knew I was a hat person at about 13, and been a hat person ever since.
Through the pandemic, how do you think that has influenced your work in any way? I know like you opened a shop Teak, which during a pandemic is a really daring thing to do.
Yeah. I would say, yeah, I had to think hard about that question. I would say the way it influenced me was I guess after making masks for 3, 4 months, that was insane crazy because Etsy put out like a call to, Etsy sellers, like, we need help. We need help making masks. And so I answered the call basically. And so with that, I tried to get creative in a way that I'm like, well, this is an opportunity for me to let them know that I also make hats. So I would sometimes, I would, hey, I make hats too. And kind of for some, I apologize if not all people got a coupon, but I would want them to come back to my shop and have a coupon for a hat. So that kind of influenced me to just keep plugging away. It's like I thrive under pressure, and at the same time I was grateful that I was still thriving as a business. Even, yes, it was masks, but I knew that I was helping people get the item that they needed. So, and as far as the other influence, I think it kept me sane to be busy during that time. And I guess I took advantage of the traffic that was coming to Etsy, and also to my .com, boundtobecreative.com, to put stuff out there where there was a need for it. So yeah, and the shop, I opened the Shoptique, so saw an opportunity.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Shoptique.
Sure. What would you like to know?
Oh, all about it. I want to come visit sometime, but I'm in Blaine, and you're south by Rochester, kind of.
Yeah, Rochester, east of Rochester. So between Rochester and Winona, there's a little town called St. Charles. That is not where my Shoptique is. My Shoptique is in my hometown, which is the tourist town of Lake City. So it's right on down the river. Like, if you can get to Red Wing, just keep following the river south and you'll run into Lake City. Cute little town. And I'm not in town. I'm kind of up and over. I got directions and stuff, but yeah, I'd love to have you visit. That'd be great. Yeah. That'd be super great. During this time, I would think that people would say, why during a pandemic? And I kind of looked at it and said, why not? Why not? I had an opportunity. It's my hometown. There was a building available next to like my parents and stuff. And I was just like, you know what? Try it. I was excited and nervous at the same time, but I was like, you know what? Let's just see how it goes. And backing up to about December of, well, it would be like a year and a half ago, pre-pandemic, I had said to my husband, I just can't do any more shows. I can do them, salt and pepper them in, but I did a lot of shows, and hats off to all you crafters, honestly, that are doing all those shows. You're killing it. You really are. I just felt like it was one of those things, the up and the down. It's always been kind of my dream to be in one space. I would have like open houses, not very often, at my home, and my family was great. They would come in and whatever, but I would say it's always been my dream to kind of have one spot, to just have my products sitting there, because I like to do a lot of different things, and then to have people come and just like customize whatever it is, a bag or a hat or something like that. And so that's what led to the Imagine room. So I've got this room in the back that has windows in it and stuff, where I'll switch out the fabrics and stuff seasonally, and you can come on in and we'll imagine a hat or a bag or whatever for you. So it's kind of a dream come true. Yeah, my mom is smart. She always said, this has been your dream forever. I'm like, no, it hasn't. But yeah, I would say it's been a dream for a very, very long time. So yeah.
That's amazing. I too have that dream. It like of owning a spot sometime, and like, you have, and the same thing with like opening the boutique is like, why not? That's kind of how I felt. I felt the same way of kind of, I'm tired of dragging just my stuff around, and I mean, to different, it's a lot of work, and now I have 3 kids, and it's a lot of work, to bring all your stuff, set it up for you know, 4 or 5 hours, you know, and then haul it all back. And,
Totally.
you know,
Totally.
time is money now. And, you know, you need to find a
Yeah.
babysitter, or you need somebody to help you. And
That's right.
yeah,
You know, going to those shows, it has its place, honestly. And you know, we can go to that town or that place and have those people come. And I think I've met so many awesome people like yourself along the way that honestly, I'm still in contact with those people. And I call them my vendor friends, but they've become more than just the vendor friends, you know? So it's been great. And one thing I wanted to add was I did a pop-up at the mall, the Rochester at Apache Mall last year.
oh yeah,
And I hauled everything. I brought my sewing machines, I brought my tables, and I brought fabric. And I think and I set up for 3 days. And it was so invigorating that I was like, I got to do this. I actually have to set up somewhere and just like make it a permanent spot, because basically the difference between like coming into a boutique, that's why I'm calling it shoptique. It's like a boutique. I'm not super boutique-y. I'm like, you know what? I got to be moving. I got to be making whatever. So that's where the shop part comes in, is I have my sewing machine set up and I sew. Like, you come in, I'm probably going to be sewing, you know? So half of it is like my product and the other half is I'm sewing. It's probably a mess half the time, but yeah, I just wanted to let people know that, you know, as well, that, yeah.
this is how big you are to me. Like, I was not like size wise, but like,
yeah. I've been trying to work out.
Just like, I was like, oh, do I message her? Like, she's not going to want to, like, she's got her own, she's so successful already. She's not going to want to be a part of my boutique. And it was so exciting when you said, I think you might've been like one of my first artists that I had, and that committed. And I was, it was so exciting when you said, I got some stuff to you know, send your way.
Right. I need to get you some more stuff, it sounds like, because we sold a couple of hats and stuff. So I
sold some of your doodle totes and some of your hats, and and a mini hip, that zebra one.
Yes. I gotta make more. I honestly, I gotta make more. It's one of those things where I'm like, I feel I want to do the sewing, all the sewing. If I could just hire somebody to like do the rest of the stuff, that'd be awesome. But right now, I'm okay. I'm okay, just comfortable with where things are at. So, and you know what, at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, don't gotta work so hard, Shelly. You know, it's like, it's like, no, just chill, watch a little Netflix, right? Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah, that's the other question I had is, what do you do when you're working? What do you like to watch shows? Do you like to meditate while you're, you know, silence? You know, you have 5 kids, so maybe silence will be nice.
Silence is okay, but I would say I either have my radio, my what is it? Amazon Prime music. I have music on, all different kinds of music. I've tried the movie thing, and I would say a couple years now in a row, I find myself watching the no-brainer sappy Christmas programs, the kind where there's really not a plot, but you can listen to it. I find that I've actually screwed up on hats when I've actually tried to like watch something intense. And so most of the time I would say it's music, and it really does depend. I mean, the pandemic and distance learning and the hybrid schedule for the kids, that kind of, my kids that are actually in, you know, high school and elementary school, that kind of messed around with things a little bit, because obviously I can't listen to my rap, you know, while they're around. So I got these big headphones, but I make a point to that, you know, when they do come in and have a question, you know, there are certain times a day where I don't listen to the music because I know somebody will be coming in to use the printer or something like that. But I would say by and large, it's probably 80s music, and then Enya and meditation and my Christian rock, praise and worship. I like jamming to the praise and worship stuff. So,
Mercy Me Mercy Me.
Mercy Me, all of that. It kind of loops the same like popular songs. So
I like it.
yeah. So I would say that's it. I tried to get into podcasts. I really, really did. And I find myself like, if it's like a handmade business, like podcast, I'm like, I got to grab my pen and write.
Yes. I know what you're, yeah.
My brain just does not work that. If I can just like jam with some music, I'm okay. Or
sometimes I find it getting like, I would listen to like small business podcasts, like how to do this about your small business. And I would get like anxious. Like I have to do it now. Like I have to do all these things like right now.
It's just like, right. I'm totally
or write it down. Yeah.
For myself, after my first two children were born, after even my first child was born, I kind of teeter-tottered with like going back to work, but I always wanted to be stay at home. And again, graphic design, I was like, what could I do? And what I had to get over was in this day and age of like social media and all of that, when you're crafting and you have something that's yours, make it be yours. It doesn't have to be perfect. Don't compare yourself to others, because I think that can like bring us down. It even brings me down when I'm seeing somebody else make something, or even the way they're posting on social media or Facebook or TikTok. I'm just into reels now and stuff, but don't compare yourself to others. Carve out time for yourself to challenge yourself to maybe want to learn something new. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, some of the stuff I made way back when, I'm like, what is that? It doesn't even matter. But after my children were born, absolutely, I found it was a quiet time for me to not hear the screaming babies. They're, I don't know what ages your kids are apart, but mine were only 19, 18 months apart. So I was just like boom, boom, boom. And then 2 years, another one. So I had 3 kids in diapers at once. But having a support group is huge. Like my husband was super supportive and like, just go take time for yourself. And I didn't go on these retreats, you know, anything like that. This was just having space in my basement for myself. And so consequently, when we built here, I said, I got to have a space. I got to have a space.
It's exactly how that kind of brings me to another question is, did you ever feel like sometimes I feel like this isn't a real job. It's just making, it's just a hobby. It's just crafting and like the pressure to make it something like, but you don't know how. Did you ever feel like the guilt that came this is like me just wanting to do a hobby in the basement or whatever. It's not actually going to make money. And my husband always says, you know, you're not going to make money right away. And he's very supportive like that. But I still like, sometimes I'm like, doubt myself. Like,
absolutely.
This isn't like, when is this it's not successful until I am making money or whatever, but I don't know.
No, I totally get what you're saying. And yeah, I did go through that. In fact, I still go through it. I don't know that it ever goes away. And, you know, just when you tell yourself, yay, I made it, I arrived, you know, something else comes along. And, you know, with that, I wouldn't say so much for myself that it was guilt. It was just there were times absolutely that I wanted to stop making hats. And I didn't, because I would go to these shows and I would see these women wearing the hats and they would just light up like a Christmas tree. I'm like, you know what? I got to keep doing this. So to your point about it being, you know, just a hobby, that's a mindset that you got to tell yourself and plant your feet firm in the ground that said, no, I'm going to do this. This is my business. And it's hearing yourself say it to other people. Like, no, this is my hand. I didn't like take any coaching or anything like this, but writing down and having almost like a script when you tell people, and look in the mirror and tell yourself as if you're talking to somebody, because it's those self messages that you will hear that help you start believing in yourself. And nobody can take that way. Yeah, you're going to have the naysayers. You're going to have those people that think it's just a hobby. But when you start to take yourself seriously, others will start to take you seriously. Does that make sense?
I love that.
Yeah,
I love it.
That's what and that just didn't happen overnight. It really didn't. That was writing down, like, when you apply at those shows and you gotta give like your testimony of like how you got started. You talk about your business and stuff to kind of sell yourself. Basically, when you do that enough, you're just like, hey, you're damn right. And so you can start to believe that. But I literally had a script and would tell people this is, and then you know what, and then yeah, that's what I would say. Yep.
Yeah. I love that. I feel like I'm finally getting to that point where I am taking it more serious, and I am saying to myself, this is my business and I'm going to own it. And
that's right.
Dig your feet into the ground.
It's literally in the confidence and your physical stance when you are talking to somebody about it and be proud of your business. I think it opens up an opportunity to tell and to share with somebody about your business. It's speak to that potential customer or tell them what it is, and you don't have to explain yourself. This is what I do. This is my job, because I look at it, if I were even to be working full time, which I feel like I work more than full time, I would say that because of my family life and that kind of thing, and which it's not even about the kids. I'm very much a homebody, and it's like a perfect thing for me and my family. So it allowed for flexibility and all of that, and it still does, no matter what ages my kids are. So, and a pandemic, right? So you're right, own it. You own it.
One last question, a personal question for me to learn from you, and advice for me as a mom of little kids, is have you ever, mine are 6, 3.5, and 1.5.
Oh, busy. You're a busy mom. Oh my gosh. Busy mom.
Yeah. But you still want to have your own ambitions, your own goals, and your own kind of life aside from just, not
your own
just
identity.
I don't want to say just being a mom, because being a mom is not
huge.
Just
huge. Yep, it's huge.
But how did you handle like being a mom at home? You were a stay-at-home mom?
Yes.
And then getting that urge to work on something you really want to work on. Do you kind of know what I mean? Like, I get that, where it's like, when you're creative and you just want to do it that second when you have an idea.
We share the same brain. I'm very impulsive. Like, I have to do it right now. Like, I don't care if I'm late picking up the kids. I mean, I do, but really, I totally get what you're saying, that I think as a mom, I can tell you right now, of like even a 21-year-old, almost 20-year-old, it doesn't really go away. They respect you, you respect them. When, to your point about them being little, I used to craft at midnight. When everybody went to bed, you find whatever, because it is such a huge passion. And it's almost as if you have this need to fill. And there are plenty of times where, I had to just put it aside. The kids were sick, or, whatever. I had to make supper. I mean, I had to make supper tonight, and the family does help out and all that. And they're wonderful. But I would craft late at night. I'm not super morning person, even though I now get up at like 6 a.m. But it was more the midnight, because then I could have that quiet time.
Mhm.
And I mean, that age they're very demanding, and they're, whatever. And, they're not as demanding as they get older, depending on, kind of child you have and stuff. But does that kind of answer your question? I mean,
Yes.
One thing I wanted to mention too is that I'm maybe you do it, maybe you don't. I always incorporated my kids somehow into helping me sometimes. I remember when my son was not even in preschool yet, and at the time I was a sitting sewer, and I'd have to get orders out, or I would have that impulsive, like, I gotta make this hat or whatever. He would sit right back here on the back of my chair reading a book. He just wanted to be next to me. And so and even now my daughter like makes all of these for me. It's just things like that. I know your kids, but even at 6 years old, having them learn part of the business, too, I guess. Does that answer your question? Find time for you to craft. That's what I'd say, because there is time for that kind of stuff. My mother has always said, your children are an extension of you. I was so worried when I started to have kids 21 years ago that, I'm not going to be able to do anything. I'm not going to be able to do this. She's like, they're just an extension of you. My parents have owned their business for years and years. So I come from a line of business owners. So I knew it was in my blood, but so I grew up with the business. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have my kids grow up with me, having some kind of business. It was just kind of, I guess it's just in my blood, and children weren't going to stop me from doing that. I'm kind of getting off on a tangent, but I just would have my kids with me. It sounds like, you know what, that's what I would encourage people to do.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Older.
5 years
more
older.
Wrinkles, more gray hair. Let me think. In 5 years, I definitely want to still be making hats. God willing, I'll still be making hats. And I will still be having my online shop. I would probably say with the Shoptique that I want to be open more. I mean, this may sound like a 1 year plan and stuff, but 5 years, I don't want to get too far out. I would say that, I say God has a plan, and his plan is always better than mine. So, but for myself, I definitely want to be still making hats, still want to be selling online, and still reaching all those women that need cute hats, and think that their head is too large. I want to be there. I want to be there for them. So, and have my repeat customers come back. It sounds very simple, but yeah, I would say that that's where I'd like to be in 5 years.
Well, I want to thank you so much. This was so fun.
This was great. It was so nice to see you again. I mean, it's been quite a few years.
I mean, you probably can't even remember. I mean, I don't expect you to remember.
It's more your name that I have seen pop up, and you posted that adorable picture. I'm sure it was you, the same.
That was me. Yep.
You put on all your children. I was like, oh my God, this is so great. No, I definitely I did picture you with long brown hair. I really did. I was just like, yeah. So funny. It's good to see you again. Yeah, 2014. Holy smokes, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for hanging out with me all these years. Oh my gosh,
of course.
I feel honored that you asked me to do the interview and all that. So no, I really appreciate it. Thank you. It was fun to do this. It was super fun. So
yeah, it was. Well, take care, and we'll see you.
Thank you. We'll see you online.
You can find Shelly's items at www.boundtobecreative.com, as well as select items at www.bellamariaboutique.net. I hope you enjoyed listening to Craft Table Therapy with me, Emily, from Bella Maria Boutique.